Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sunker, and today I'm going to show you how to make some really cool rage beats like the ones you hear on TikTok, especially this one. So we're going to go into FL Studio. We're going to be using Pigments by ARTURIA. So this video is sponsored by ARTURIA. So thank you guys so much for sponsoring this video. Let's hop into the tutorial. So this is my version of Mo Beats Pepe lore theme. So I'm going to show you guys a really quick preview on what I did. I'm going to show you how I did it. Very close to the original, so let's start by deconstructing each element that I have labeled here, starting with the main synth pad, which sounds like this. So rage beats are very simple. They start with a very warm analog sounding pad, which is just basically a saw wave with some unison here. So we have 8 voices of unison detuned very slightly, and with some Juno chorus, which has a very nice warm organic tone to it. Then it's routed into bus number 2 using tape Mellify to give it a more warmer tone to it. So this plugin is by ARTURIA. You can get it in the links down in the description. Thank you, ARTURIA. This is a very wonderful alternative to RC20. So if you guys have RC20, you can use that. But if you want a really cool tape effect, ARTURIA's Mellify works wonderful. It has a lot of knobs here, so right now I have 20% tone. I have a drive set to 20%, a little bit of noise. We got a little bit of a low pass filter happening, some flutter. It's really easy to use. It gives really great results if we listen to it with and then without. Makes it sound very warm, very broken, and it gives it that really nice character that we needed. Then on the second part here, we have this very peculiar ARP, which is very distinctive to this track. And this was very easy to crack down. It's just a very simple, plucky square wave. So we have here a square wave with a very short decay here to give it that nice little plucky tone. And then the ARP is written down there in the piano roll. There's nothing much happening. Next here we have our drums, very easy. It just consists of a kick, very short kick, and very subby. It's not very clicky or anything. We got our basic 808 hat here. Just doing a basic pattern, nothing special on the hi-hat. Very easy if you're making trap melodies. Using this hi-hat pattern is going to be wonderful since it's the easiest and sounds the greatest. And then we have here a very short clap. And that's how our beat sounds. Now we go to the spicy part, the 808. This is a really cool 808 that I did here using Pigments. And what's happening here is that I took this sine wave, added a teeny amount of noise, and then added a whole bunch of drive with the distortion. And I chose the germanium distortion type since it gave it that really gritty tone that sounds something like this. Of course, we also have our pitch automation happening here with envelope number 2, which is controlling 24 semitones on this coarse knob here. So I set it 24 semitones down, and then this very sharp attack is controlling that, so it gives it that nice little click at the start of the 808. And of course, we have a little bit of subtle volume control happening, so that sounds like an 808 sort of decaying down as the 808 continues. And then on the processing, it's very lowered on the volume because distortion makes it very loud. So I toned it down quite a bit so that it sounds better in the mix. And the drum sounds something like this with the 808. And now we only have two things left, which are our main lead here and our second lead. And first I'm going to show you the main lead because it's the easiest to replicate. It was very easy. Once I heard this for the first time, I was like, wait, this is just a square wave with some pulse added, and that's exactly what I did. I selected here the square wave, I added some width so that sounds like a pulse wave, and made that plucky tone. And then there's really nothing else happening. It's literally just a pulse wave, no processing, no nothing. And it sort of reminded me of that classic Game Boy tone. So I think something very essential about Rage beats is that retro aspect, like when we saw on the pad that it had a very warm Juno tone. Our ARP was a very simple square wave. Our lead is just a pulse wave. It's very retro, it's very warm, it's very analog, you could say. And then here on the second lead, I tried to imagine it as if I was using a ARP 2600, and it sort of gave it that little nice tone. So it's basically what's happening here is that we have here our saw wave, which is being FN'd by our noise modulation here just a teeny bit, so it gives it a little bit of an unstable tone, so it sounds very warbly. And then here we have our mini filter set to keyboard tracking with the resonance up at 100% with the cutoff at the fundamental, so it sounds like a sine wave. And then that makes it sound something like this. But wait, there's one more element for this second lead that's very important, and it's that we have again our tape mellify to warm it down, so without it, it sounds something like this. It adds a little bit more instability and makes it warble a little bit more. Then we have our reverb spring, which is very important for this patch because it's what makes it watered down and blends it very nicely in the mix. So without it, sounds something like this. So it's a really short decay on the reverb. It's mono, but it makes it sound so big and so like a string patch, and it sounds really amazing. And this reverb spring by ARTURIA is really amazing, very high quality reverb. As well as with the EQ, there's a little bit of subtle EQing, just cutting out the frequencies that I didn't want it, giving it a little bit more warmth to the tone. And then that's basically how this beat was made. For the mastering, nothing special, a little bit of EQing just to shape it, to shape the final mix a little bit. Some glue compression here happening with the clump diode by ARTURIA. And then some distortion to give it a little bit of a saturation tone, a little bit of character to the mix. And then finishing it all together with a VCA working as a limiter, which adds a tiny bit more of saturation, and that blends it all together and makes it sound all glued as if it was one single track. And that's how you make this. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, this was Soundkiller. Thank you ARTURIA for sponsoring this video. So if you want to get any of the plugins featured, ARTURIA right now has a Black Friday deal where you can get 50% off every software sold by ARTURIA. So if you want to check that out, links are in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.